Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Almost here, and this is the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wow, what a day. It's one of those dreary days. But hey, it's St. Patrick's Day, everybody. It is St. Patrick's Day. It is time for all of our Irish men and women to get out there and celebrate. And even if you're not Irish, everybody is Irish today, right? So it's so much fun. It's one of my favorite holidays. You know, I'm Italian, but my wife is Irish and Norwegian. So my kids are part Irish. So we've got to celebrate the Irish. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. I hope that some people are getting out of work a little bit earlier, getting over to the bar, having a good time, you know, having some pastrami and rye. What else is good today? Cabbage, all that good stuff. It's all good. So happy St. Patrick's Day. And corned beef, that's it. What is the thing of pastrami and rye? Yeah, my executive producer is looking at me. He goes, "You must be Jewish." You know, no, it's the corned beef and cabbage. That's it. I don't know why I was thinking pastrami and rye. Wow. All right. It's been a little crazy of a day here, but I'm Tom Marino. I'm your host, and I'm looking forward to having a great episode here on this show. We have a very special guest in the studio with us today. His name is Danny Del Vecchio. You can find him on Instagram at Coach Dan D Sales. That's Coach D Sales, also known as Coach Danny. So Danny, welcome to the show, my friend.
Appreciate it, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
excited
welcome.
to be here.
Awesome. I am so excited for you to be here. We're going to talk about so many things. So last week we were talking about procrastination on the show, Danny, and I was talking about how people procrastinate sometimes on the wrong thing. And I know that a lot of people procrastinate, especially small business owners. They procrastinate on doing their social media. So that's what we're going to talk about today, right, Dan? We're going to talk about how to make that better.
Very, very true. I think that is one area where people definitely tend to procrastinate.
Absolutely. And listen, I want to hear from you. If you have an opportunity to pick up the phone right now and you want to talk about social media, you want to talk about something you're struggling with, there's a lot of people out there. Everything is about branding today, right? No matter who you are, you're developing a brand of who you are. And Danny's going to be here to answer some of those questions. And I'm here to answer your questions as well. So give us a call at 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. All right. So Danny, tell us a little bit about how you got into, coaching people how to do sales online.
Okay, so I have a sales background for 18 years now, just about, I think a little over. And, started as a retail sales rep working in the local Radio Shack, which no longer exists anymore, unfortunately. But, and then I throughout my career, I moved into different sales roles. I managed some retail stores, and then I started getting into B2B sales. And actually led a pretty large B2B sales team. I went from New England down to Florida. The entire, I had 50 sales reps, 7 sales managers, all part of my organization. And after the company got acquired, I went back into being an individual contributor again. And when I did that, I was like, you know what? I need to learn about what's going on in sales today. And I started doing the research and trying to figure out some of the tactics and techniques that I can do to make sales in this modern era. Mm-hmm. And this is where social media comes in, right? So you get social media in there, you get video in there. And, I start to really dive into that aspect of sales and how to use like some of the traditional sales methods that I've used throughout my entire career and kind of repurpose them and use them on social media. And what I really like about doing that is because it gives you the opportunity to be creative. Mm-hmm. It gives you the opportunity to use your personal brand, to build authority, connect with people, and actually convert sales.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, who would have thought that sales would be such a big thing on social media, online, period. I mean, you everybody is selling something all of the time on social media, right? People reach out to you, they want to connect with you, but they want to connect with you for the intent of selling, and it's becoming a very challenging, way of doing business, which every business owner really has to adapt to. If you're just tuning in, this is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show, and we're talking to Coach Danny of Coach D Sales at Instagram. That's on Instagram, Coach D Sales. And, we're just talking about how sales, there's been such a migration, so to speak, of sales to social media, right? I mean, it was started so much with internet sites, like you sell banners, you sell advertising and stuff like that. But now everybody who runs a business that's selling something is on social media. Are those the types of clients that mostly gravitate to you? What's your type of client mostly that you work with?
Yeah, so there's really two groups that I've been really helping out recently, and one is the business professional or the business owner that is used to doing business in the traditional way, and now they know that they really need to use social media. But they just really don't know how to get started. They just need some direction on how to use what they've done and traditionally and their experience and put that out there on social. So that's one group.
Right. And there's a huge benefit to putting stuff out on social, because I know a lot of people are very conservative around ad spend and stuff like that on social media, but you get such incredible data that you wouldn't get necessarily from typical sales, right? I mean, you can see who's following you, you can see who's checking your post out, you can see how many views you're getting, you can see all of that stuff. How do you convince someone who's struggling with that to take the plunge and start doing their sales online?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, right? And I tend to gravitate towards the Instagram platform because the people that I work with are, smaller local business owners or creators, individual solopreneurs. And like I said, the numbers speak for themselves. There are 1.2 billion people on Instagram.
Wow.
And of that 1.2 billion, over 90% of people follow at least one business account. And then if you kind of dig even deeper, it's something like 80% of the people are actually going out and researching products and services on the Instagram platform.
Wow.
So, you think about that. You are basically opening yourself up to an audience of practically 1 billion people to find you and find your service or your product that you offer.
Wow. It's an incredible reach when you think about it. I mean, over 1 billion people on Instagram. That's one platform. Think of all the different platforms that we have. And everyone is positioning themselves as a salesperson. And it's hard for people who aren't used to it. I know me myself, right? You and I have talked about this in the past. Like, you got to be more present, Tom. You got to be more on social media. And even the person who does my social media says the same thing. And I've seen such traction when I put myself out there. Do you see that?
Absolutely. If the one thing that you need to have on social media is consistency. Right. So you just got to show up.
Yeah.
Right. That's the number one thing, and that's probably the number one hurdle, and the number one hurdle that I need to try to get through with the new clients that I'm bringing on is like, let's get a plan to make sure that you're showing up here every day, and then how we're going to use each of the different types of content to get here on a regular basis.
Yeah, it really is about showing up consistently. I've definitely learned that, and I definitely see that, because people want to hear from you, and you got to be authentic as best as possible in that. So, all right, Dan, we're going to take a quick commercial break. But just so everybody knows, the phone lines are open. It is St. Patrick's Day. We are live in the studio. So give us a call after the break, 631-451-1039. And when we get back, we'll continue speaking with Coach Danny about doing some sales on Instagram. All right, we'll talk to you right after this.
If you feel like that's what you want to do, here come bad news, talking this and that. Yeah. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Yeah. Well, I should probably 'cause I'm happy. Clap along.
And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. This is your host, Tom Marino, and welcome. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. We are talking today with Danny Del Vecchio, Coach Danny, and he is a sales coach, and he specifically works with people to improve their business sales using Instagram and others and social media. And we were talking before the break about, how everyone has pivoted to social media to do sales. And but Danny, you mentioned before that you had a pivot really in your career a couple of years ago. When was it actually when this pivot happened for you?
I guess the acquisition happened in the beginning of 2019.
Okay, so right, a little less than a year before the pandemic.
Correct.
And so you had to pivot, right? And there's a lot of people out there. I know that, if you're just tuning in, I know that there are people that are thinking about career changes right now. It's a major thing going on in our country, in our society because of the pandemic. People want to do what they love. Some people really love being on social media, and there's a difference between influencers and people who sell, right? And influencers are out there for different reasons. They help to sell products, right? So there's a lot of people that have Instagram accounts that have thousands and thousands of followers, and they need to monetize that, right? And so tell me a little bit about your experience of pivoting from what you were doing to doing this, and some of the tough decisions that you had to make.
Yeah, for sure. So it's crazy too, because basically what happened was, we're in the middle of the pandemic now, and I want to start doing something on the side. I want to start building a side hustle. Mm-hmm. That was the goal, right? I actually just gotten a new job right at the beginning of the pandemic, but I also wanted to build a side hustle at the same time. And I had been very experienced with podcasting. So I said, you know what? I really enjoy creating and doing podcasting. So maybe I can start with a podcast and build from there. And I started this podcast, which basically took a direction that I just never intended for it to take.
Right.
And I kind of got really frustrated with it. And I was in this podcast mastermind group, and the coach in the mastermind group said to me, he's like, you need to pivot, because it seems like you're super frustrated with this thing right now.
Right.
So I'd show him this Instagram account that I had started when I got the new job. And he goes, whoa. He's like, I never even knew about this business side of Danny here. Right. Mm-hmm. So I created this account, and he goes, go all in on this. Just start building an audience on Instagram. And instead of recording a podcast, just use Instagram Live as the platform.
Yep.
So now I started to talk about some of the things that I had been learning when I went back from leadership into individual contributor, about some of these modern ways to promote your business and modern ways to do sales, mainly on social media, and using, like I said, exciting platforms like podcasting, like YouTube, like social media, all these different ways where you have the opportunity to showcase your creativity to help you grow your business. And it just started to evolve into, me having conversations with small business owners, and really not necessarily owners, just anybody that had value to bring to the small business community. And I started to kind of build content around that.
Right.
And the idea came up that, hey, maybe, you should coach salespeople. I mean, you've been coaching salespeople for many years prior, under corporate America.
Right.
Why don't you do it on your own?
Right, exactly. and that's the thing. We all have skills that we don't necessarily tap into, right? We get stuck in a job, and we're like, we're more than this. And that's part of what I see in my clients a lot when they get frustrated, is especially people that are working in an executive role and they're struggling. They start to feel like they don't have any options. And I'm like, let's go back to your basic skills. Let's go back to what you love to do, what naturally comes to you, right? Like, I love to talk naturally. I love to speak to people. I love to have conversations. I love to spend time with people. What better profession for me to go into than to be a success strategy coach and a life coach and really engage with people in that way? it's really, we have to use the gifts and the skills that we have naturally and the things that we really have an interest in and have a passion for, right? That's so important. If you're just tuning in, this is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show, and we are talking with Coach Danny Del Vecchio, who is a sales coach, and he is an expert at sales on Instagram. And, for those of you out there that are looking for someone to help you either build a brand, improve your business sales, reach out to Danny on Instagram at Coach D Sales. That's Coach D Sales on Instagram. Check out his stuff. Danny always has great videos. You want to talk about consistency. Danny, we talked about consistency before. What is it about consistency that you think is what works? Why do people have to be consistent? Because I've spoken to several social media people, and they're like, you could do 12 posts a month, you could do 30 posts a month, you could do 90 posts a month. But what really is the formula? What's the thing that you see being the most successful? Well,
I think that one of the things that you have to take into consideration is your capacity, right? Like, the more you post, the more chance that there are that people are going to see you and that people are going to connect with you, right? But again, you can't decide like, I want to post every day if you don't have the capacity to create a quality post every day. So, certain people say, hey, you know what? I'll post 4 times a week. I'll post 5 times a week. That's fine as long as that's what you're consistently doing. Right. And if you have the opportunity to do a little more here and there, go ahead, do a little more. But it's when you post once every 2 weeks or once a month or once every 2 months, like, you are never going to build a brand. You are never going to build trust and build authority creating content when you only put something out here and there. So it's consistency could obviously mean every day, but it doesn't have to mean every day. I think a lot of people confuse that. They think like consistently means that I got to show up and I got to post every day. Right. You don't.
Yeah, it's about the consistency and it's about the quality of the post that you're putting out, right? You don't want to put out garbage. You want to put out really good stuff, and it's better to put 3 posts that are really good every week than to put 9 posts that are okay or not so great. And people are and I've learned this too about social media. It's social, right? It's about relationships. It's very relational. It's emotional. It's one of those things where you've got to connect to your followers in a way that's, on an emotional way. And I do find myself at times, helping some of my clients with what they're doing on social media, especially if they're not used to it. It's like, listen, I should just say what I tell them what every good sales coach or Instagram coach or social media coach has told me is be consistent, provide quality, and show a bit of yourself. People want to see you, right? You find that to be true, correct?
Yeah. First off, like, creating content is only half the battle. And then the other half of the battle is actually engaging with the community that you're building on Instagram, because or whatever platform you're on. Like, the idea is for you to build a community. The idea is for you to build a tribe of people that resonate with you. And those people that are going to follow you consistently, that are going to potentially, look to start having conversations with you, asking you, inquiring for advice. Those are the people that are going to end up buying your product or your service or whatever it is, right? So just show up, but also engage. Right. Like, when people are going to comment on your posts, or when people are going to send you messages, reply to comments, reply to messages. And when somebody new follows you, this is a big one. When somebody new follows you, follow them back. Right. And welcome them to the community. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that I've learned that has kind of set me apart here on Instagram versus a lot of the other people that are out there. Yeah.
All right. We're going to continue our conversation with Coach Danny after the break. This is the Tom Marino Show. If you are listening and you have a question about, branding, using social media, you're a small business owner, and you're struggling with sales, give us a call, 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. And when you get a chance, check out my website at tommarino.com. That's tommarino.com. And leave me a message on the radio page. I want to hear from you. All right, we'll talk to you right after this.
Well, I should I'll warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Because I'm happy.
And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Tom Marino, success strategy coach. And happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. Wow, St. Patrick's Day already. It's the middle of March and we are just moving right into spring. Although today is a damp and dreary day, I just can't wait for that beautiful sunshine in April and May where we start to see the flowers bloom. My allergies are bothering me, so I know the flowers are starting to bloom, that's for sure. But, we've been talking to Coach Danny Del Vecchio, who is a sales coach. And in the last half hour, we've talked about using Instagram for sales and some of the barriers and the types of people that he works with. And, it made me think about a few things that I've even had to do. Like, I know that social media is not easy for everyone, right? If you're in your 20s and early 30s, it's a little different. I mean, you grew up with this, for these older guys like me, who's going to be 45 in a couple of months, social media was something that was not really big. Facebook actually came out when I was in college. That was when Facebook appeared at Harvard. And, it was, we used to have, the books in college that when you were a freshman, you'd go through, they used to call them the meat books. And you'd go through, and that's how Facebook really started, right? Was to connect people on college campuses. But, social media has evolved so much, and you've had to try and test things over time. And, Danny, when I always do a pre-interview questionnaire, and Danny answered my question of what's the inspirational quote that you can bring to the audience. And I want everyone who's struggling with change, who's struggling to do something different, I want you to hear this inspirational quote that Danny wrote to me. He said, "Everything is an experiment. Try new approaches, fail, make adjustments, and try again. When something works, repeat it." And I was just so taken back by that. I thought that was an incredible quote. It's so true. It's make the adjustments, right? Life is an experiment. And when you're a new business owner like you are and like I am, and a lot of people out there in the last 2 years, with the pandemic, there was more new business owners in 2021 that Bloomberg had ever seen. It was up by like 9% or 20%. I can't remember the number of new business applications that went in. Like, it is an experiment. We have to adjust and pivot. And you've done that, Danny. We were talking about that right before the break. Tell me a little bit more about where that came from, that inspirational quote that you have given us as a gift.
Yeah, it's like I said, like I literally went from doing this podcast, which was essentially about parenting. That wasn't how I set it out to be, but that's what it turned into. And I went from doing a parenting podcast and completely failing at it to becoming a sales coach. And that is an amazing evolution, right? Because it's two things that are completely unrelated. But again, it's just, the way that it came about, I guess, is that when I was doing this podcast, I was learning that how do you make money? How do you monetize a podcast? Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that you monetize a podcast is you have this now audience that you're building, and you create some sort of offers for them, whether that's one-on-one coaching or whether that's a course or whether that is a physical product. You are creating something for your existing audience. And that's when I really started to get frustrated with it, because I was like, wait, hold on a second. If my podcast is about parenting, then does that mean that if I'm going to be coaching people that it's going to be on parenting?
Yeah.
Because that's not at all what I want to be doing.
Right. And that's what causes us to pivot, right? It's the recognition that something you set out to start doing becomes the thing that you had no inkling to even try to start doing, right? Your intention, I remember when we first spoke over a year ago, your intention of the podcast was to leave something for your sons, right?
Yes. So the idea, the name of the podcast was For My Sons. And the idea is that I was going to have conversations with people that were influential in my life, and leave those conversations for my sons. And when I started to put this thing out there and get some advice and coaching, I was coached to put it into the parenting category.
Okay.
And capitalize on the parenting theme. And it just didn't work out. It was, like I said, that's what got me frustrated. And at some point, I want to go back and start that podcast again.
Right.
And do it the way that I want to do it,
Right.
and not worry about monetizing it, and just do that as something that's for me and for my sons, as opposed to trying to be the thing that I'm trying to monetize.
Right. Got it. And again, that requires pivot, that requires experimentation, that requires failing at the experiment. And as I always say, it's not my acronym, but FAIL is first attempt in learning. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Tom Marino Show, and I'm your host, Tom Marino, and we're talking with Coach Danny Del Vecchio, who is a sales coach who specializes in Instagram sales and social media sales. And, if you are interested in monetizing and selling something on social media and don't know where to start, give us a call, 631-451-1039, or reach out to Danny at Coach D Sales on Instagram. And it's really interesting. You mentioned courses in there and the direction that you're taking things. You have something new that you're starting, correct?
Yeah. So essentially, what kind of got me back on track with the podcast and what got me, evolving was that I joined this mastermind group. Mm-hmm. And when I joined this mastermind group, it is led by a coach who, was a podcasting coach, but also a business coach at the same time, really. Mm-hmm. And, I joined the group, and, he leads it. And then there's this whole other group of guys that are all trying to do the same thing. They're all trying to grow a podcast. They're all trying to monetize it, turn it into a business. And we're all sharing ideas and sharing insights. And from that moment, I knew that that's what I wanted to be doing. Mm-hmm. Like, I wanted to have my own group where I can help people go through the same thing that I was going through, right? Which is like how to, use your creativity and use your personal brand. I think I've said this a couple of times,
right,
to grow your business, right? And that's what my group is all about. That's the theme behind my group. And, we're going to be doing a bunch of different workshops that are related to, how to sell on social media. We're going to be doing some workshops on how to put yourself out there on video and be comfortable putting yourself out there on video. And then I'm just bringing in a lot of guest speakers, people that have been influential to me during my journey of setting up this business and creating this opportunity. And they are all going to come in and actually do some presentations for the group. Awesome. And then there's going to be some, I guess, coaching opportunities. We call it like hot seats, right? Where basically somebody in the group that is interested in leveling up a certain area, or they're struggling with something, they can go out there, talk about what they're going through, and then go and get feedback from the entire group.
Right.
On that.
And that's the beauty of masterminds and, master classes, is really to learn from other people, to get input and feedback. And, it's a community of change that you really that you're really developing. It's a community of change. People are all going through different experiences. They want to pivot. They want to do something different. They're not sure. They want to ask the question, but they want to ask the question to a group of people that are going through something like they are going through. And that's one of the biggest successes with masterminds and group coaching even, is when you're doing that and you have a common theme of what you're trying to get to, you become very, very, open to new experiences, to trying new things. And you have the encouragement and the support of that group behind you that starts to catapult you in that direction, right? The mastermind that I run for young professionals is very similar. They're going through similar things. And it's interesting. My social media person is going to speak to the group this month about, social media and how to build a brand and all of that, because there's so much interest in that from young professionals and getting out there. So we're going to take another commercial break. This is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show. I want you to give us a call. We have another few minutes left in the show when we come back. 631-451-1039. And if you've been listening to Coach Danny Delvecchio at Coach D Sales on Instagram. And listen, when you get a chance, go to my Instagram at Tom Marino Coaching. That's Tom Marino Coaching. Leave me a comment about today's episode. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're struggling with, and we'll talk to you right after this break.
Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. Because I'm happy. Clap along.
And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Tom Marino, and today we've been talking to Coach Danny Delvecchio, Coach D Sales on Instagram. And listen, I want to hear from you. 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. Give us a call. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Go get your corned beef and cabbage. See, I got it right this time, David. I started the show with pastrami and rye. No, it's for all the Jewish Irishmen out there. But no, it is for St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And listen, people, be safe, please. St. Patrick's Day, I know a lot of people like to have a little bit of fun and be at the bars, but please be safe. Your safety is really important. Make sure that you drive responsibly, drink responsibly, and make sure you're looking out for each other. So what an awesome conversation we've been having over the last hour with Danny. We've been talking about, social media and Instagram and doing coaching sales, and he's starting a new mastermind and to help people get through those obstacles that they have to overcome and have a community support to that. And Danny, what is when you think about all the things that you're doing so many great things. What does success look like for you this year? What is something you're really striving for this year, and what would that success look like for you?
So I think, there's a couple things. Like one is just to see the people that I've been working with, especially the people that have joined me from the beginning of this journey, just to see them having success, obviously, is success for me. But personally, I feel like obviously there's the potential to turn this coaching business into a full-time thing, right? Right now it's still a side hustle at this point. So potentially turning this into from a side hustle into a full-time hustle, if that's ultimately where in the cards,
right?
Depending on what I have going on personally at my current job right now, there may be some reasons to stay. And in that case, then I would want this just to be a lucrative side hustle, something that I really do enjoy doing,
yep.
And earn an income at the same time. There's nothing much better than that.
Right. Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. And I love how you started that. It's about, we're in the service industry. Both of us are coaches. We're coaching people to be successful and where they want to be successful and where they define success. And, it's really about building people up. And it's funny, today on LinkedIn, I actually did a post on, defining success for me. And I asked the question of how do you define success? Because people define success in so many different ways, right? Some people define it based on wealth and achievement and status and promotion and elevation. And people sometimes even define success by the way that you grow your friendships and the number of people that and all the acquaintances that you have and this sense of importance. And there's no wrong way to define success for people, and I get that. And, but when we look at it as helping other people, building other people up, helping other people to succeed, that's what is success for me. And I know that's where we have a lot of alignment and synergy, but success too is the freedom to be able to do what makes you happy, right? And the ability to do that, right? And I can see it in your videos. I see it in your enthusiasm. You've always been encouraging me. When we talked about me doing a podcast, I wound up doing a radio show. A podcast is coming, but it's all of those things that we put our time and effort to make us happy and fulfilled, and it's having that freedom and that ability to do that. And when you see someone who has passion for something, but they're stuck in their own way, how do you help them through that? What's your method? What do you tell them to do?
Just lean into whatever it is that you want to do, and stop holding back, stop being scared. Just get out there and start creating. Yeah. And for a lot of people, it's I'm afraid to make a video.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, make 10, make 20, make 100 videos and share them with nobody.
Right.
And then when you feel good enough about it, then share it with the
Right.
start sharing them with the world.
Isn't it overthinking too that people get stuck on overthinking, right? They
Yeah.
they overthink the situation. Just put it up there. Just get it out there. And you know, like even I have a business coach, you know, and that's right, people. Coaches have coaches because we all want to be successful and we need other perspectives and other opinions. And even my business coach is like, just put it out there. Don't overthink it. Write what you're going to write. Say what you're going to say. Read it. Make sure it makes sense. And then move on. And don't let that be your paralysis, right? Don't you see that in people often, especially around making videos? And that was me. That was me a couple of weeks ago. I said, I don't want to do this, but you know what? You get over it. You got to get over it.
Yeah, perfectionism is a killer, right? A coach and a mentor that I've had said, when you get to 70%, stop and put it out there.
Yep.
Because the amount of time and effort that you are going to put in to try to get from 70 to 100 is just going to hold you back.
Yep.
So when you are 70% satisfied with it, start putting it out into the universe.
Yep. Because it's, and that reminds me of another post I did this week. It's not about perfectionism. Is it good enough? Right? Is it good enough? And good enough is enough. And we struggle with that sometimes. And a lot of people are afraid to take the plunge. I know there's somebody right now that's out there that is saying to themselves, why am I continuously abusing myself in some way, doing a job that I hate doing, not living my passion, not doing what I want to be doing, and overthinking it. And my advice to people is think about what you could be doing and go and do it, because there's truth in that. There will be abundance in that. Letting go of those beliefs that are sabotaging you. And that's what I work with people on, is getting rid of that sabotage. I work with people getting out of that self-sabotage habit that they just continually, when they start to see success and they start to enjoy that success, you see them just go right down and snap at a finger and they're self-sabotaging. Oh, I stink. Who am I? I have imposter syndrome and all of that, right? How often, I mean, you see that, and I'm sure you even feel that at times. You know, we all feel that at times.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to launch this mastermind. I can't even think about how long I wanted to launch it for. And I overthought it.
Right.
I overthought it and I procrastinated it. And then finally, it took one of my mentors to give me a nice swift kick in the, to get it going.
In the caboose to say, come on, Danny, let's go. I think I know who that might be. I know this guy pretty well, and we'll do a shout out. Danny and I met through Long Island Networkers, and our good friend, Adam Hurd, he is a phenomenal business advisor and coach, and he's a great friend, and he gives you those boosts and those, he pushes you in that direction. Danny, listen, I'm just so glad that we have had the opportunity today to talk and for you to share with everyone, and I hope people get a little bit more of a perspective on what's been going, what they could be doing and how you pivoted. And I hope they find inspiration in your story and how you see it as experimenting and failing and trying again and adjusting and pivoting. So thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing. And if you're interested in working with Danny, go to @CoachDSales on Instagram. Find out about his mastermind that's coming up. Sign up for it. Danny has a ton of resources. He is such a friendly and outgoing guy. He's not, he's, as you hear him right here, he is just so authentic. He's willing to help. He wants to serve, and he wants people to be successful. And I think that's an awesome thing. So thank you again for being who you are.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me.
So this has been Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show, and I want you to let me know what's been going on for you. If you're struggling with something, if you are trying to make a change and you're overthinking it, that's what I specialize in, is helping people to stop overthinking, stop sabotaging yourself, stop procrastinating, and start to get stuff done. I won't use the expletive, but get stuff done. You know what I'm saying? Give me a call. Find out, go to my website at tommarino.com. That's tommarino.com. Fill out a contact form. Follow me on Instagram at Tom Marino Coaching. That's Tom Marino Coaching. And I want you to be successful. We all want each other to be successful. And it's better to collaborate than to compete. That's why I'm supporting my colleagues here, bringing a coach on, bringing more people. We're all here to help each other. And when we collaborate, we have much more success. So thank you for tuning in. And until next week, this is Tom Marino saying, choose your adrenalized life.
News talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back.